3. Hi, folks. Nathan Adlin here with MR.Truck. This is a special episode. We're doing two things today. First of all, we apologize about the delay. We had some technical difficulties. But we're going to do a Ask MR.Truck, and we're going to give you a long-term update on our trucks that, well, just like this one, we've had for a little while. So let's get right to it, and let's start with MR.Truck. Go for it.
What do you want me to tell you? I'm ready for my long-term trucks. I want the Ram. I want the Frontier. I want this Hellcat.
You want the Hellcat, really? Okay, well
once in a while you got to drive a car.
Well, let's start with the Ram. We both had an opportunity to do a lot of driving with it, and so far, I mean, the thing's been rock solid. You had a chance to take it off-road recently, right?
Yeah, I took it out there in the middle of nowhere in the rough, deep sand with sagebrushes like sticks, and I ruined the front tire on it. But it did so good. That front locker on there, I could climb out of blowouts that you couldn't go any other way. Horses have a hard time getting out of those blowouts.
Right.
So I was impressed.
We had an opportunity to take this to Moab, Utah, and that was during the Easter Jeep Safari. We actually have a bunch of videos up on TFL Car, and this thing kept up with the Jeeps when we were going to our to where the prototypes are going.
Yeah.
And it was at a point to where I was actually about to lean on the horn to get some people to move out of my way while I was going up and over ridges. This thing it's a monster.
Oh, it is. It's a heavy beast, too. Like when I was out there in the prairie, I was trying to get it to jump out of the hole, and I got the Raptor in the air. I could not get this thing in the air. I mean, it's glued to the ground.
Yeah. I mean, you really have to do something crazy in order to do that. Actually, our buddy Nick managed to do that one time. But the whole thing with this truck is that we're going to be taking it back to Ram soon. Next month, early next month, there's going to be the Overlander Expo, and that's going to be in Flagstaff, Arizona. And you know the US Overlanders.
Yeah,
you influenced a few.
Stuff.
Yeah. So we're going to take this back, and we're going to give it to Ram. It's going to be on display. And that's going to be the end of it. So we only have this for a few more weeks, so we need to do some stuff with it.
Yeah, put some TFL truck stickers on it.
Hey guys, this is your chance to ask our expert here your truck questions. We get tons of emails from you guys every week asking questions, and we thought we could do a live show with our man Kent here where you can actually ask the questions that are on your mind. So what we want to talk about are things like capability, towing, hitches, anything that you've got questions about when it comes to how to use your truck. So I'm going to be behind the camera. I'm going to be reading your questions over to these guys. So ask away.
We could talk about truck stop lot lizards too.
No, we're not going to talk about.
We're not going to talk. We're not going to talk about.
Okay.
We're going to talk about truck stop lizards.
One other thing, though, in the back, guys, for those of you who don't know, our Project Rig Green made a major leap in the right direction. It now has a brand new heart under the hood. It's a 350, right?
Yeah, 350. 4-barrel.
Yeah, I know, carbureted, not fuel injected. I thought I could have sworn we were going to do fuel injection. But while we're waiting for questions, a lot of people have asked me in the past, and you're the one to ask, what are the challenges when you have a carbureted vehicle and you're up at high elevation? What do you have to do in order to make it run right?
Well, you got to put bigger jets in it, turn the air filter over like we used to do. Anything to get more air in there. That's what it's all about is air.
So what do you mean by bigger jets for those who don't understand what the jets are?
Well, jets in their bottom that actually shoot the fuel up in there. The bigger the orifice, the more fuel. And that's a problem too in altitude. I know you guys, when you're installing Big Green, you're talking about sizes of carburetors and stuff. You go to a parts store down here, most of these guys won't have anything other than the 650.
Right.
Like an Edelbrock, because bigger than that, you get more gas, but you don't have enough air to fuel the 750. So
the 650, that's a size. It's a CFM that you're measuring for a carburetor. That's a fairly good size one. 750, suddenly you're in the performance carburetor realm.
Yeah, and you got to be able to pump some air in
let me
there.
cut in and
we got
ask a bunch of questions. Yeah, what do you think of the 2018 F-150 having stop and go on the truck?
Well, I like to shut it off.
Yeah.
The Raptor has that too, but it has a button to shut it off. A lot of these vehicles do. I had that in the Durango I was driving the other day. You got to push a button. So, I mean, it's kind of annoying, but I have a hybrid car, and it has the same thing. It does it automatically. You can't shut it off.
You have a hybrid car? Holy cow.
Well, the wife has to drive something, and I have to drive her to the doctor, so I end up driving it. But 45 miles a gallon, so I like it. But anyway, I hate cars. You got to lay into them. Trucks you sit in, cars you lay down in, and you got to crawl out. But anyway, yeah, that's what it's all about is air. You got to have more air up here. We don't have it. Just like, watch the football games. They're all there in oxygen, the sidelines, barely making it.
All right, next one. Small block Chevy or small block Ford, boys?
Small block Chevy.
Of course, a small block Ford. Everybody wants a
Small block
302, a 5-liter. What else is there?
The 305, which was okay. It's reliable, even though it wasn't the fastest engine on the planet.
But the 302 was.
302 is all right.
All right, Nathan, next one. Kevin wants to know, we have a 4x2 Jeep Patriot. The question is capability off-roading for light off-roading. How do you find off-road trails we can handle from
For a Patriot with the front drive Patriot. Okay, well, the good news is that you have a higher body. You know, you're off the ground a little bit higher than your average car. I wouldn't recommend doing anything other than dirt trails, especially because the tires that you have on there are kind of, if they're stock, they're not exactly made for off-roading. So the best thing you could do is maybe a dirt trail. Was he asking about Colorado?
No, Phoenix. You were just there.
Yeah.
Ghost Town.
Phoenix, you know what? There's a ghost town there. What was the name of the ghost town, Roman? Do you remember?
Is that on the Apache Trail?
Yeah, the Apache
Yeah,
Trail.
the Apache
Love
Trail.
that road. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got more switchbacks than any
It's a great place for
trail.
switchbacks. The Apache Trail leads up to Tortilla Flats, and in that area there are a couple little dirt areas that you would have no problem driving. But other than that, I really wouldn't take that thing into the wild. Wouldn't be a great idea.
Let me keep going. Lots of questions here.
Lots
Can
of questions.
airlift suspension be used off-road, Kent?
Well, again, well, that's what the Rebel is. The Rebel's got that rear end off-road thing that goes up an inch.
Yeah.
And to me, they can't move fast enough for for really high speeds or anything when you're going off-road. But anything gives you more clearance. Of course, you still got the axle still below the airbag, so you're not getting anything up higher or lower, and you don't really hit the body other than trees. So I don't know necessarily that the airlift. I mean, if you jack up the truck, that's a whole different thing. But if the airlift, I'm not sure that there's a big advantage.
Here's the question with that. Do you gain more with articulation once you lift it up? See, that's the thing. I always thought you didn't because those airbags themselves are pretty tight.
Right.
They don't allow a lot of movement, but...
Well, it depends on how they're set up. A real one, like what a semi have, or some of the more expensive units, have a leveling valve, and that will actually help you on corners, a bunch of that, because they can move pretty fast.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I really not done a lot of the airbags with off-road, but like some of the brands are made for off-road with those giant lift kits. They're made to do all kinds of things, front and rear air, which is kind of different. So I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. We got to do airbag on one of these and go tear the crap out of
I
it.
think Big Green needs airbags.
Yeah.
Ron.
Any news on the 2018 GM 1500 trucks?
Yeah, they're testing them. We know that for sure. The rumor is that they are going to try to go Ford route and go even lighter. But General Motors has really been good about going lighter on a lot of their vehicles recently. They've been able to pull out hundreds of pounds out of cars and crossovers and SUVs and whatnot. I would imagine that that's the direction they're going to go in. But all we know is that for sure is that they are indeed testing.
Well, that's how a lot of that stuff is. Over the decades, whenever there was a fuel crisis, like Big Green, that's when they came out with that the 305. It's to save fuel.
Yeah.
And it came out as a lighter truck. Every decade or so, they do something like that with aluminum. Went from cast iron transfer cases and transmissions to aluminum transfer cases and transmissions. They keep trying to make them lighter. That's been going on for 30 years.
And then, sorry, go ahead.
Here's a good one for you, Nathan. Fire Runner wants to know, is Toyota being tight-lipped about the new Tundra? We just saw some of the new products out of Chicago.
Yeah, we did. We were really let down when we were in Chicago because they had the new Tundra, but it wasn't new. They just refreshed it. They added a slightly different suspension for an off-road package for both the Tundra and the Sequoia. And the Sequoia is another one. It's like nothing's happening. The bottom line is this. They're making minor changes. Toyota's very conservative about making changes. And then when they're ready for an all-new vehicle, they're going to hit hard. The rumor is that new platforms, new body, new engines, new everything, and a beefier transmission. They already have an 8-speed automatic transmission that they're using in the Land Cruiser. So,
Yeah.
I don't know when they're going to take all of that new tech and put it into these vehicles because, unfortunately, guys, you're the ones who are buying these things still. They're still selling them.
Well, that's the Japanese philosophy. No rebates hurt your resale value, and keep the same thing 10 years or more. We're looking at the Titan. Was it 11 years before they changed the body?
Yeah, but there was some politics with that. I mean, they were going to make a Ram out of it. Well, it was a whole bunch. Or the other way around, actually. They were going to use a Ram at one point. Did you ever hear that story? It's a long story, guys. We'll go into that some other time about Truck Legends, hosted by Mr. Kent.
Well, they had Quadra too. They were putting that on.
That was
Titan
awesome.
And the Armada.
Yeah.
But it never got in production because Delphi got shot down. And,
I drove one of those trucks. I drove the Suburban that had that. It was like 1 year or 18 months that they built that.
And that was awesome. And then they had a heavy duty. It was what's called a heavy duty 1500, which was really 2500.
Right.
So you could actually get a heavy duty full floating axle, the real thing with all that. And see the ones I saw back in Saginaw, Michigan, somewhere back there where they made Delphis. They had one with the narrow rear end, so you didn't have to have the fender flares or the extra lights.
I didn't know they ever been.
And I saw that on the Titan and the Armada, and that was with the Dana 44. They were Dana 60s, and that was what's cool with GM. You know, and we'll talk about this when we do some more off-road stuff, but they still have a little bit of a narrower rear end track than the front.
Oh, I know
and
that.
So that was an off-road thing that they all came out with. They should have a narrow rear end so that somehow they didn't follow the same track. Well, they should follow the same track. You plow through snow. You don't want to plow through snow twice, and that's what they did. But the average GM was like 3 inches narrower, but the quadra steer was 5 inches wider.
Yeah.
Because of that Dana 60 versus an American axle. So there was I can go on forever about quadra steer. I love quadra steer. I built the site around it. Delphi would have their engineers come onto my forum and answer questions. The engineers did. It was really going until it didn't, and that's a sad.
People are asking, do we think that the Nissan are reliable? Some saying that they're not reliable.
What, the Nissan Titan?
Yeah, you just said Nissans.
Well,
Nissan trucks.
okay, so
We don't do reliability.
we don't have long-term vehicles to do that. However, I can tell, I have one of my best friends has a Nissan Titan with the old 5.6, and I think he's got almost 200,000 miles on it. He's had to replace the brakes, and he's had to do work on the rear end, and that's it.
Well, I sold trucks for 10 years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I worked for AAA for a couple of years where I bought vehicles for the members. And so I sold everything. And I thought they were some of the best values out there, like a Sentra, all in the Pathfinder. All those things, you could buy them cheaper than the same equivalent in Toyota. And I thought they would last as long. I was really impressed with the Nissan over the years.
Right. It's and then you can go onto the forums, guys, and you'll find out, there's some issues with radiators supposedly and stuff like that. Look it up. It's out there. Unfortunately, we just don't have the resources to have long-term vehicles. Yeah.
So Michael is asking, do you think, actually Fire Runners are asking, will Ford bring back the Bronco and you're ordering bringing back the K5 Blazer? So we know about the Bronco, no word on the K5 Blazer, of course.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I actually owned something similar. I had a Jimmy when we were talking about narrow rear ends. That's what I was laughing about because I actually made mine wider. This is what the rumor mill has. They are testing vehicles, one of which is the overseas Blazer, basically, which has the same power plant and as the Colorado does here, supposedly. And if they are indeed testing it, then it may be something in the future they'll have go up against the Bronco. But General Motors is a little bit more, I would say, pragmatic about the way they go about these things. So I don't think it's nothing that's on the radar. And I think they're going to wait and see what Ford does and how they do it before they do anything. That's
they're not like Jeep. Jeep comes up with 10 different SUVs.
Yeah.
And talking about the Patriot, there's I don't know how many little SUVs they had for a while there.
Oh, well actually, no. Yeah, they got rid of the old Patriot and Compass. Now they have a new Compass, and they got the Cherokee, and they got the Renegade.
So this is interesting. George Hernandez says, Toyota Tundra testing an HD truck with a Hino diesel in California.
Yeah, I heard that rumor too.
That was a SEMA 5 years ago. They had big Hino,
right.
And it was just a prototype junk. It wasn't real, but it was really cool that they made it.
Yep.
And so everybody thought, wow, that'd be awesome if they did it. So they're testing the market. I mean, I've known people who've been in their factory years ago when it first opened up in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And there were some dualies in there. There were some 3/4 tons. I don't know if that was to tease the spies or what it was, but they've been playing with them. Who knows? I mean, they're very. They cannot sell enough half tons. That's just like Titan. Until they can sell a lot of more half tons, you're not going to see a 3/4 ton or a dually or any of that. It's just not going to happen.
The bottom line for Toyota is that the Tacoma is their big seller still, and even though the Tundra is a good truck, it's just not a popular truck.
Well, yeah, just like the Frontier. Frontier makes them all their money. I mean, that's their most popular, their most profit-making truck, and it's the oldest truck. That's why they haven't changed it. Everybody thinks it's something else. But
Tommy Gordon says hello from Florida.
What's up, Tommy?
Matthew Dorsky said Ford Bronco testing in Los Angeles with a turbo. Interesting.
Well, it'd probably be the EcoBoost 4-cylinder turbo, I'm thinking.
And this is an interesting one. Brian Vo wants to know, what's our experience with the Jeep Comanche? Because there is a Jeep pickup truck coming that Mike Manley, the CEO of Jeep, has confirmed. But what about the Comanche?
There's a Comanche on Craigslist. I keep eyeballing for you.
I owned the Comanche for 4 years.
Yeah, did you have the 4-liter? Because the 4-liter, I like that. I mean, it's kind of a rust bucket, but it was a nice little truck.
It was a great little truck until you had to replace the injectors, and that's when I realized how expensive that was. Back then, I had new money. I just finished college trying to pay it off, and it's just like I can't afford this truck anymore. So it went away quickly. But good 4-wheel drive system, great truck.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to wrench on a 4x4 that already has all of the ingredients to be a really good off-roader, especially with the 4-liter straight 6.
Yeah, and that was the last of the AMC engines, that 4-liter.
Output. Yeah, that's still it sat around for a little bit longer. One of the issues they had also is that once AMC was brought into, at the time, Dodge Chrysler, Dodge had the Dakota.
Right.
And those two vehicles literally competed with each other.
Yeah,
So
they both went away.
well, no, the Dakota stayed for a while.
I know, but
yeah.
I mean, eventually.
Here's a big question. Any updates on the Colorado ZR2? And, of course, are we going to the Overland Expo? And that's all happening at the same time, Nathan. So you're going to Overland. I'm going to ZR2. Tell them about what's going on.
Okay, well, so this is what we're doing at the Overland Expo. There are 2 different truck events, so hopefully we're going to be able to hit both. One is for Ram, which is why we're bringing this back, and hopefully Andre will be going to that one. And then the other one is for Nissan, and Nissan has a special one-off overlanding vehicle. I can't tell you much else about it, but I'll hopefully be covering that. And that is all happening around the 10th of next month. And that is something to say. The actual Overland Expo goes from the 12th to the 14th, and it's going to be in Flagstaff, Arizona. So there's that first part. Second part, Colorado. Yes, it's happening, and Roman's going to be. You're going to be driving that, right, boss?
Yep, I'll be there.
Yep. So Roman gets to drive that, and so we're doing a lot of truck stuff in a very short amount of time, and all of it's going to be happening within the just after the first week of May, March, April. Yeah, May. My God, that's just like right around the corner, isn't it? Wow. Problem is that we just came back from a bunch of events, and now we have to go to a bunch of new events, and that happens.
This is a good one for you, Ken. People are saying Dodge is wasting a lot of money on the Demon. They should be building a better heavy-duty truck and a better
Is that what you guys really
truck.
think?
Yeah,
Interesting.
the Demon. I'm really into the cars.
Yeah, you're really talking about the wrong person with the cars.
I was thinking about that the other day. Why didn't they put the Demon like with the Barracuda? I mean, I know it saves them money using sheet metal off the Challenger, but I thought there was a Barracuda Demon, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a Barracuda, but that was
Say to the trucks,
Plymouth
guys. Trucks,
Barracuda.
Ken. Trucks. People want to know about trucks.
Trucks.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Demons.
No, they're saying they're wasting money on the
Oh,
Demon. Shouldn't they be putting
Instead of putting it
in-
into
I've
Ram.
never figured those guys out. When it comes to the marketing side, they have a whole different atmosphere than I would understand.
I have a simple answer for this, though. This is a pretty easy one. First of all, it's not much of a waste of money. Yeah, they had to do some development, but that car was pretty much built a while ago. Trust me on this, guys. When the 707 horsepower engine was built, there are a lot of engineers who said, we can get a lot more out of this, and I'm sure they said, how much? And one thing led to another. This vehicle isn't that expensive to build in terms of development cost by comparison. Coming up with a brand new truck.
Yeah, right.
That's
They got
expensive.
the sheet metal in the Challenger. They're finally going to put some bigger tires on the back end. All the things they needed, so it's normal.
And a lot of those components they're actually able to order them. A lot of
yeah.
lightweight components in there and everything else. So
Just like the Viper, this is the last year of the Viper again. They keep saying it's last year, and then they quit for a couple years. and
Guys,
start
you're
back.
off topic again.
Oh,
sorry, yeah,
see,
we're talking cars.
Well, I like
so
the
the bottom,
Viper engine in the SRT10 truck.
yes, I drove one
One
of
of my
those.
favorite trucks.
Well, that was a nuts truck. It had the manual, the one I drove.
Yes, the long
So,
stick.
Jonathan Powers is asking, wouldn't Toyota sell more if it had a 3/4 ton option? You think it'd be good for Toyota to have a 3/4 ton?
Well,
truck?
look what's going on with Nissan right now.
Yeah, it's all about sales. If they can get a half ton sales up, they will. I mean, they've already built those trucks and played with those trucks. They just haven't produced them, for mass. But I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty. They're learning that it's not easy to take away the loyal Americans from the loyal companies, even if they're made in America. People get so loyal to those brands, they get brand blind, and that's the big wall they keep running to. Nissan and Titan, they just keep,
Nissan and
Toyota
Toyota, yeah.
and Nissan, they both run into the same wall.
I
And it's
think
not easy.
You're absolutely right. And I mean, we've been to their factories, we've seen what they do. We know that they're working hard and they're building decent trucks. The bottom line is that until they start really selling them, then where can they substantiate the money to build these bigger trucks that you guys want? Bottom
Yeah,
line,
yeah.
you've got to sell more before they can build more.
See, that's the same thing that Dodge or Ram has learned, from the Japanese, is you don't have to keep changing models every 4 years, every 5 years. They can keep one and keep selling and actually make more money, which is why the Ram stays what it is. I mean, they've got the only diesel in the segment. They've got the only air ride in the segment.
Yep.
They've got the only coil rear springs on a 3/4 ton. So there's nothing wrong with their truck. I know everybody wants something new all the time, but there's nothing wrong with having a dependable truck. Look at this. How well is Power Wagon, which is the same truck for a long time, it does in competition. It's a wonderful truck.
It nearly won everything that we could have thrown at
You
it.
don't have to keep changing things. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, look at me. I'm the same guy.
When is the next Frontier coming out?
That's a good question. So this is what we've been told. They're not quite finished with doing the rollout on the Nissan Titan. They've had recently they went from the Titan XD to the Titan half ton. Then they had the King Cab recently.
Yes.
But now there's one more Titan that has to come out. The
There
V6.
is?
Yep, the V6.
Oh,
I know, but dude, it's another one, So the longer they're able to stretch, the longer they're able to keep that vehicle out there, the Nissan Frontier, it's it makes so much more money than having to retool everything, come up with new stampings, new engines, and everything else.
Yeah.
So why not keep it for another year, guys?
Ford did the same thing with the Ranger, kept it the same forever.
Oh my God, they never change.
And that's the lesson learned there. They make money.
Any news on the Ram Dakota? You know, this is a funny thing, right? I've been watching this. The second people always want what they can't have, right?
Of course.
Right? So the second people ask, like, how about a Dakota? How about a mid-size Ram truck, right? And the second that Ram will come out with that, if they do, which we don't know, but let's say they do come out with the Ram, right? Mid-size truck. The next question will be, when do you put a diesel in it? People always want what they can't have.
But that's, of course, that's the nature of the beast. And that's why these guys have gotten so good at just giving everybody just barely what they want.
Yeah.
And sometimes actually giving them exactly what they want. Now, we do know this. Ram/FCA has been testing a lot of Italian metal all throughout Detroit and also in certain other areas. They have a whole bunch of Fiat vehicles which are car-based, which can be grafted with a bed. The Strata, the Fiat Strata and the Toro and some of those other ones. Basically, those are the equivalent of the Honda Ridgeline. I know. It's okay. It's okay.
No, I don't hate the Ridgeline.
Okay, I was going to throw the tire at the camera there. But the question is, do they go that route, which is a lot less expensive in terms of development, and it gives a lot more, many more customers the financial means they can grab a car-ish truck, or do they build a small truck? They have the platform for both. There's a Mitsubishi out there that they're using overseas, which is called a Ram, and it could theoretically come here. But that's all we got in terms of that information.
Yeah, Mitsubishi maybe that was a Ram 10 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Oscar wants to know, what was the first truck you bought?
Oh gosh, first truck I bought, that was way back in, let's see, Moses just climbed off the Ram.
I was going to say, did you see in black and white back then?
Oh yeah, I think it was a 72 Ford F-250 with a 360 that sucked. All my 360s have sucked. I don't like that engine.
Yeah,
like
Tommy's going to look forward to hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, the 390s get in. But anyway, yeah, it was a 250. I remember that one. Yes, I do. That was high school.
How about you, Nathan?
Well, I worked at my uncle's wrecking yard ever since I was a kid, so when we got our hands on a truck, I think it was like a 72 or 73 Chevrolet. It was before the Silverado name, I think, and it was
they had custom Cheyenne, Scottsdale.
It's a Scottsdale, that's right, and it had, this was trippy. It was a step-side long bed.
Oh yeah,
yeah, really
ugly
rare,
trucks.
ugly as hell. Oh my God, birth control on wheels.
I like short beds, but not long beds.
Yeah, it looked terrible. But it had a straight six, and it ran great, and it just that was the first truck I owned. But the best first truck I owned was that Jeep I was just telling you about.
Oh yeah,
I bought that on my own with my own money.
Yeah,
in the mid-90s.
So I got an interesting story. I was just in Moab, and I was talking to David Tracy, who actually drove a Jeep to Moab.
Yeah, David's awesome.
Yeah, a flat-fendered, like one of the first CJs, or before the CJ.
It was a Willys, wasn't it?
It was a Willys, yeah, with the Go Devil engine.
Yeah.
And he really struggled to get that Jeep to Moab. It broke down. Eventually, he towed it, and Ford gave him a Raptor to tow that little Jeep with, right? This is a little, basically a little Willys Jeep, right?
Yeah.
And he said, guess what kind of fuel economy he was getting with the Raptor.
This is the new
Raptor. New Raptor towing that
EcoBoost.
little tiny Jeep. How much do you think he was getting? According to the
10 miles per gallon.
6.
Really?
6 mpg.
Yeah,
Wow.
6.
Wow.
So I think we didn't tow with the Raptor when we had it, but I think that
We need
throws
to
a
do
gulf.
that.
We need to do that.
Desperately.
Yeah. That's what he's saying. He's getting just over 6 miles a gallon towing.
Well, a lot of Ford fans are going to say, if Ford, the Raptor was never meant for towing. That's crap, by the way. It was meant to tow like a boat or motorcycles.
Yeah,
And, it's an off-road vehicle that's built to tow off-road vehicles. It's not built to tow heavy loads, like on an industrial scale.
Yeah.
So there's getting that low mileage. That's crazy.
With a 14 rear end, it should have had more power.
So I think we have to test it.
Stress it.
I think the news is we have to go out and test it, and we have to test it against the old Raptor. So
we just happen to have one.
Do a back-to-back test, right? A mashup where we same load, same day, run the gauntlet with the new one and the old one.
Without a doubt.
I see what kind
I
of
towed a
beat you
Trader
with.
with the one I had, but I never recorded fuel mileage on it. So
And also, Tracy's a great guy, but he has a lead foot. And I have a feeling he may have been going.
Well, that's the Raptor.
He was going 100 miles per hour. Are you kidding?
Yeah, the Raptor, but you can't not drive it fast. Just like the first EcoBoost came out here from Detroit here, and I was passing everybody, and you can't let your foot off. It's just too much fun. That's how that works.
It's a sports car of trucks.
And back to those trucks, I think we're going to have that Jeep truck before we'll ever have the Dakota truck. The Jeep is actually
and
fairly close.
that's you're absolutely right. pardon me, the Wrangler's going to have, basically it's going to become a mid-size pickup truck.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a version of that. And so would Ram actually build a vehicle to go up against it? It doesn't make a lot of
Probably not.
sense.
And they got such a good following with Jeep. That would be a natural thing. To go
Dude,
to
all they have to do
everybody
is
does Jeeps.
stamp the name
Yeah.
Jeep on anything
Yeah,
and sell
it'd be
it.
a no-brainer for that one.
All right, this is the last question because we're out of time.
Okay.
Favorite trucks you guys owned?
1976 Highboy. Black. It had a 360, which sucked. It was a 4-speed manual.
Yeah.
Tall son of a gun, and it rode like shit, but I loved that truck.
Yeah, and mine was that Toyota Tacoma I recently got rid of, which I didn't want to get rid of, and my wife made me get rid of it, and I'm really sad that she made me
my
get rid of
gosh.
it.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
don't ever want to think about it again because it makes me sad. It was a great truck.
You got rid of the truck and not the wife? Okay.
Anyway.
I kind of understand.
All right, let's say goodbye, boys. Let's wish them goodbye and keep
All
them
right,
going.
hey guys, thanks so much for
See you
tuning
next
in.
time.
Yeah, and remember, this will eventually become a video, so you can ask some more questions, and maybe we'll jump on and be able to answer a couple more questions.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. And keep in mind, we go live when, Nathan?
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, if we're able to. With everything we're doing in the near future, it might be a little bit more difficult, but stay tuned. We're going to try.
And I think on Monday, we'll try to take the long-term trucks that we have for a drive and kind of give you an update on those.
Yeah, that'd be a great
People are
idea.
asking about the Nissan.
The Nissan, our Final Frontier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should get that for a while, don't you think?
No.
I mean, I should.
No.
I think I should do something.
You don't
with
like
it.
manual trucks.
Well, I could. I remember how to shift.
That's okay, guys. We'll see you later.